Hello and welcome to AleksTabletops MTG Study session 11. This is a pre-recorded session of YouTube specials. So today we're gonna play Draft. So let's just go and play it, I guess. So I recorded this video before. I needed to focus on Draft. So let's just, by the way, speed up the recording quite a bit. So it's gonna be a speed up. The reason for speeding up the recording, because like the first probably 20 minutes is going to be rather boring. We're just going to go through the draft. Yeah, we're not going to play the standard metagame challenge. Like I recorded this video around the time that this metagame challenge was available. Myself, I didn't participate in this challenge. I decided to stick to the draft because again, yeah, the whole reason to go through the draft, at that time, the only draft that was available was Ranked M20, which was actually pretty cool. So the whole idea was to get additional gold in order to then buy Master Pass. So again, I have 2,900 gold, and I need 30k, basically, or 3,400 gold in order to buy Master Pass. So going through this draft, the whole idea of going through this draft was basically surrounded around the fact that I needed to convert my in-game gold into the gems in order to buy Master Pass. So yeah, so for now I'm sticking again. I don't have that much of experience in playing draft. So just learning basically. I decided to build a deck around like at the beginning, I was open to choices. I started with a pretty awesome black card. Again, Dread, I believe Dread Presence, it's called, or not. Basically, that works with swamps. And right away from the get-go, I decided, okay, it would be a good idea to actually kind of build deck around this. I thought about adding multiple choices, but at the end I actually decided to stick to blue-black. So the cool thing about this is, like, I didn't, like, I knew that Magic Core set has, like, a lot of cards with flyers, a lot of cards with, basically, like, we could potentially, I never played Draft and M20, and I didn't necessarily 100%, I wasn't 100% sure what type of decks I could actually encounter in the draft itself. The only thing that I knew is the fact that we could potentially play against artifact decks, we could potentially play against flying decks, and we could potentially play against elemental decks. So it all depends what type of people we're playing against. Like, more experienced players probably will go with the elementals or with artifact decks. Less experienced players will probably go with flyers as a good choice. I decided to build a deck around kind of a, again, discard / sacrifice. I don't know. We'll see. Basically, on a graveyard, and kind of with lifelink, with basically especially acquiring this. Yeah, I believe I decided, like, okay, we have a lot of cards with Death Touch, so let's just focus this deck around Death Touch. Of course, I needed to put something with flying, although I didn't necessarily thought about, like, necessarily putting, like, that many flyers. In most cases, I just built deck intuitively. So yeah, we're almost finished with our first pack. So now the second one. So here again, I mean, it's pretty late already to change colors. I have a pretty decent amount of black kind of synergy cards. I decided to stick to this synergy, and although it could be a good idea to take this Executioner Spirit, but again, why we need this if for now I'm mostly sticking to black and blue, which seems actually working. Like, I have a pretty good black and blue cards that could give me a win. So here I'm definitely trying to decide what to take. Like, ideally it could be a good idea to take a Zephyr Charge to actually turn this deck into a flyer deck. I don't remember what I chose here. Let's see. So I'm definitely thinking. like taking this elemental would allow me to draw additional card and also give me a flyer. So it's kind of a creature that flies and at the same time gives me a additional draw, because again, this is something we would definitely will need. So here I decided to take a card that allows us to resurrect cards from the graveyard, which seems like a logical choice. Here I probably will choose the same. I'm probably not going to choose Skeleton. Yeah, it's probably going to choose the same. So here we don't have that many choices. I mean, yeah, it's, again, since I'm focusing on Death Touch, it seems like a good idea. Here I probably will take Leech. Here we gonna take... We need, like, not cheap cards, but for some reason I decided to take something cheaper. So again, probably will take this Vampire or top 4 cards. Oh, probably will take, yeah, take Vampire. Again, I'm not making like logical choices. Probably for those who play Magic Draft for a longer period of time, I'm sticking to my own logic at this point, which is pretty kind of, I don't know, casual. So because of this, so definitely gonna take this enchantment. It might save us during the flyer decks. So again, the whole, like, I didn't have that many expectations on this draft actually. Like, this was my first paid draft in Magic Arena that I actually spent the actual gold to play. The first time and the only time that I played draft was on my actual account. Was probably on a closed beta stages. Open beta stage, I never played draft. I played draft as a... Okay, this is interesting. So here I probably will take War Chief, because again, we could take like we have a lot of blue, pretty cool blue choices, but War Chief seems pretty interesting thing. It also will work with the graveyard. Again, the more creatures with Death Touch we're going to lose, the more potential we have to bring them back and basically utilize the ability. So here it's pretty interesting. Distortion allows to discard a card. Again, I'm sticking to creatures. The same goes with this Ogre. Orc. I probably will take the Orc. We'll see. Again, I have a lot of choices. I'm probably not like taking the pick like super top choices, but again, I have a pretty decent like understanding what I want to build with this deck. Maybe it's not like super efficient deck for this particular draft, but again, we'll see how it's going to show itself after after the session will end. So again, for now the game is speed up. I'm going to make it regular speed once we will go into the matches. I just want to make sure that the picking aspect is going to be a little bit faster, because I spent about 20 minutes to pick cards. Like with the speed up versions, probably will take for about 10 maybe or so. Then I will spend quite a bit of time to rebuild the deck to make it a little bit more efficient, I would say. And I made probably not the right choice. Once I will go into the deck building, I will actually decide to, I remember this, I will decide to, instead of sticking to 2 colors, I decided to pick one and made a blue as a splash. So like mono black with a splash of blue. And by doing so, I will make a mistake, and I will realize that after the first match, because again, there's going to be a lot of flyer decks in M20, and by having my just mono black with the splash of blue is just not gonna support. So yeah, we're finished draft. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to go through the deck building. So again, we're going to remove all cards that are don't fit our colors. I probably will get rid of all artifacts, because again, this is the logical kind of choice at the beginning. So it will take me quite a couple of matches to build this deck properly, to make it stable and logical, because again, the cool thing about draft though that I like, that it truly tests your abilities of deck building, which is a pretty cool stuff. I love to work with the deck building, Deck building is one of my favorite things about Magic. I love to spend a lot of time like in deck building, but again, my deck building skills are pretty weak because I am not learning from professionals. I'm just learning by myself, just logically, and because of this, my deck building skills are pretty limited, and they are mostly logical. Like what's logic to me in terms of Magic, these type of choices I'm basically making. So for now, again, I'm removing cards that don't necessarily fit the strategy. Like at this point, I probably already decided to get rid of all blue cards, unnecessary black ones, and basically make sure that we're going to have a 40 card deck, which is again not necessary. Again, it would be pretty decent to play a 50 card deck, but it's just harder to go with lands. Like you have to put at least 1 additional or 2 additional lands if you will go with 50 card deck. But in general, like 40 card deck will give you, of course, in a limited format, a stable kind of thing. But again, I don't like limitations in here when it comes down to the number of cards in the deck. So like in standard, I'm usually, not in standard, in constructed, I'm usually playing 80 card decks. This is my personal choice that makes Magic a little bit more fun. Decks are less predictable, but again, they're also less consistent, which is something that I'm willing to accept in order to have fun playing Magic. So the same goes with the draft, but again, because I'm new to the draft still, I'm kind of just learning the ropes, trying to understand what thing could work, what's not working. So again, just testing the waters, I guess, and understanding what's going to work, what's not. So yeah, definitely decided to go with the splash. At this point, probably more and more into the splash, because again, like at this point I'm thinking, okay, we have 2 unsummons, we have just basically only 5 cards that supports blue. It's not a splash, and in the end I will believe I decided to go into splash. I probably will remove all blue cards except Leech, like Tombound Leech, and replace the blue cards with something else and keep islands up to 3. So yeah, getting rid of Unsummon and Cloudkins here, probably in the end I will decide to do so. Which is again, it's going to, this deck in this state will going to survive only 1 match, or not survive necessarily. It's going to work only 1 match. After the first match, I will build it back into the blue-black. So we're not going to play with this version of the deck the whole kind of the whole draft. So yeah, so far again I'm just making choices, trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work, like struggling with big cards. I mean, trying to create a solid mana curve. We have 2.6 average converted mana cost, and mana curve is basically goes mostly in 3, like 1, 2, 3, and it basically goes down. So it curves out pretty gradually, which is pretty cool. It starts with the small cards and basically ends with the big ones, so like the deck curve is pretty cool. Let's try that. Yeah. So yeah, basically this is the version of the deck, I guess. So let's just go with the regular speed now. Just choosing a visuals. So yeah, I definitely decided to go with a splash, so let's just try that. So in most cases this is just a mono black with a splash of blue, and the blue splash is definitely, it's pretty limited. Let's just try it. So now we're going with the regular speed, which means that by speeding up I shortened the session by 5 minutes. Not that much. I'm not going to speed up the matches themselves. We could actually speed up the first match and then go with the other matches in regular speed. Yeah, let's just speed up the first match, because first match was pretty disappointing. I will say this right away. So we're going to go with a pretty quick speed in the first match, because again, I want to make sure that we're going to make the session relatively short. Yeah, speed magic is pretty weird. So again, right from the get-go, I understood that I'm done with this deck, like, because I decided, like, come on, there's so many flyers, like, right from the get-go. Like, opponent right away put 3 flyers and just basically gonna attack me, and I don't have anything to protect myself. I also not able to attack because opponent put a pretty decent defender, so which means that I'm basically restricted in attack, and the only thing that I can do is just wait until opponent is going to kill me with the flyers. Now, by making flyers stronger with artifacts, I'm like, whatever. So I right away understood and kind of remembered what M20 is all about. It has a lot of cards with flyers, so I'm doing my best here to survive, but again, I right from the get-go understood that I don't have anything, like, with this deck. I mean, yes, we'll be able to return a couple of cards from the graveyard, but so what? We're not going to be able to play them, and it doesn't truly matter because opponent will replace this X into the different flyer, and just basically and another X, and we're gonna die pretty quickly. So again, this match was a kind of a learning experience in terms of, okay, now I am pretty sure what type of decks opponent potentially could build. So, and decided from the second match to rebuild the deck into a little bit more deck that supports flyers, especially after Griffin enters the battlefield. I right away kind of figured it out, okay, we need to stick to... So again, my deck is usually pretty aggressive, but again, how can you be aggressive if you have a pretty good defense from the opponent's side and a lot of flyers that you're not able to protect yourselves against? So yeah, it's a shame, but again, it was a learning one. I needed to lose this one in order to understand what this deck is all about, what this deck needs to be all about. So again, like, some of the strategies of this deck are working, but again, because we don't have anything against flyers, it's kind of one-way street. I mean, we don't have that many choices here. So yeah, I decided to basically rebuild it, so now we're rebuilding it. After this one I will go with the normal speed, because it's pretty fast, and I'm not gonna able to comment the game with this speed up version of the recording. So yeah, so here I am basically decided to put less cards that work with returning cards from the graveyards, get rid of cards that probably not going to have a lot, like for instance like this insect that doesn't allow opponent to add additional counters. I don't remember that many cards that work with +1/+1 counters in M20, except like a couple of elementals, so which I doubt we're going to fight at that point. So I decided to basically make this deck back to its original state, the intentional state, put as many cards as possible that could give us some flyer elements. So again, Zephyr Charge will allow us to turn our black creatures, big ones and small ones, into, and the ones with Death Touch against flyers, which is pretty cool. It's pretty hard, like hard to realize sometimes. You have to have enough mana to utilize it. But it's pretty cheap, and activated costs relatively cheap. And since I have aggressive deck, in most cases I will end up with 0 cards in my hand, closer to the turn 6 or 5, probably. So having a card with activated ability seems like a good idea, because we will be able to have mana to activate it. So yeah, just rebuilding the deck, making sure that this deck is gonna be the best. So yeah, that's it. So this version of the deck hopefully now supports more flyers. So again, all flyers that I drafted I put in this deck. Artifact flyers, regular flyers, especially blue ones, those that elementals that basically enters the battlefield and allows us to draw a card. So all flyers that we potentially could have will help us. So it's pretty weird hand. I mean, taking it's pretty risky. The only reason probably to take it is the fact that we have 2 Death Touchers, and this artifact that allows us to produce a blue mana that we don't have. Of course, like if no one is gonna destroy it. So definitely thinking to take this hand or not. Probably will take it. We're still waiting for opponent. There's a good chance that opponent is not gonna. Let's just speed up because yeah, opponent is live. Good. So right away going from, like, again, we have our early place in this one. We have a pretty decent defense when it comes, like, if we're gonna play against the creatures that attack on the ground. Yeah, update available, doesn't matter. So, and the good thing is that we have lifelink and death touch, which again allows us hero going to attack, because again, if opponent decides to kill my creature with death touch, I'm fine with it. As long as opponent's creature is gonna die too. So I decided that seems like a good idea at that point. The less creatures opponent has, the better for us. Because again, we need to clear up the defense in order to attack. Okay, now flyers are like entering the field, which is again problematic. I will still continue to attack because, again, I need to be aggressive for this deck. The whole point of this deck is to be aggressive. And now problems start to arise. Now we have a pretty annoying Vigilance Flyer with 1/3 that I'm not going to be able to attack through, which is a problem. So it will complicate the game. And also I don't have, for now, on the battlefield, flyer blockers, which is probably something that I will play probably next turn. For now, opponent doesn't have a pretty big attack, so I decided to play a flying creature a little bit later in the game, or right now, why not? Especially, like, this artifact, by the way, is pretty cool. That basically gives us a mana of any color. Definitely a good one to draft, in my opinion, I guess. Again, it's probably not the top choice for the experienced players, but again, who freaking cares? You play whatever fits best for you. I mean, in the end, Magic is one of the most personalized games I've ever played. You can truly build a deck that I'm probably not going to. Probably, no, it's not a good idea though to lose kind of the only flyer that could block. Ideally I probably should block Griffin, but we'll see. We'll see how it's going to turn out. Again, I played this match probably like a week or so ago, maybe more. So again, this one will give a creature the ability to draw and then discard a card, and also will make a pretty decent defense. Ideally, it could be a good idea to make our flyer bigger, because if we're gonna make our flyer bigger, it's again, for now, again, I decided to attack. Again, we could safely attack with 2/2. I doubt that the opponent has any buffs. And also I probably will utilize this ability by discarding a card. So again, we need flyers, so I probably will, yeah, discard the black one, put additional thing on this one, which again will allow us to produce a stronger blockers. So now I could potentially block the Spite if opponent. No, we're not going to block the Spite, we're going to block Griffin. So yeah, this is exactly the thing that I should do probably in the previous turn. Like, instead of losing my only flyer blocker at that time. But again, I kind of want to preserve. But again, we have more than enough lives. There's no need to preserve lives. Let's just use them as a resource, like strategical resource. So, I already saw like one misplay probably in perspective. Again, playing flyers, the more flyers we have the better, and probably gonna discard this land, we'll see. Or just play it, we'll see. I don't remember exactly what I will do. So again, the logical choice is to continue to attack with the leech, 1-3. It's probably not the wise choice to attack with 2-2, lifelink. Definitely not gonna attack with flyer. So again, I have to continue attack, at least with leech, because again, it has death touch. This is the only, like, the reason to have, by the way, creatures with death touch in here is to basically force the opponent to skip attack, not defending himself or herself. Okay, we don't have that many, like, we have a couple of, like, we probably will discard a land, keep returner, and later we'll return a flyer back from the graveyard, because again, we have to block right now bigger flyers. So again, this is the second match where flyers are pretty big, so which again leads me to believe that most of the decks that we're gonna play against are gonna be flyer decks, which means that we always have to consider taking hands with flyers just in order to survive. So flyers right here is not necessarily working as a attacking strategy, they're more like a defensive strategy. Attacking strategy will be utilized in my deck with death touch creatures and creatures with lifelink in order to gain life. If we're not able to block, we will be able to, again, regain life from attack. So this is kind of a general strategy of this deck. It's pretty simple. So here we're gonna, again, return probably right away in the battlefield, the creatures that we lost right now. We'll see. I don't remember what choice exactly I'm going to take. It's, again, the reason why I'm doing this, because, again, I kind of want to force the opponent into... It's a weird choice, by the way. I would probably kill instead of lifelinker the guy that gives mana, because I have only one island. Maybe I will need two. But again, if opponent understands meta game, maybe opponent knows that there's not that many cards with double blue in M12's M20, so... Yeah. So we got lucky with the removal. And now let's just return back flyers. And of course we're going to return the one that gives us a card and the one that has a first strike. So yeah, so far so good. Again, the strategy, like, we don't have that many flyers in this deck, but because we have a decent amount of cards that could return cards from the graveyard, we will be able to return. So yeah, opponent decides to concede duel because, again, opponent has the only creature that not gonna block or attack by its own, don't have additional draws, and we have deck that allows us to return back cards, replay them, and attack opponent. So opponent understands that there's no way to win this. So good. We got our first match, which is again a good thing, because I truly entered this draft with pretty low expectations from myself. I thought that I probably will win only one, maybe two matches. So by winning only one match, I was kind of super happy about it. Because again, we're playing until 3 losses. It's a pretty good chance to win at least 2 or 3 matches, which is pretty decent for the beginner in drafts, which is pretty cool. But again, hopefully my general skills of deck building and like overall basic understanding of Magic, not necessarily like the current meta game with M20 draft, will work. Because again, like good deck builders, again, they have like multiple skills. They have a general skills, like pretty good general skills that allow them to just understand what deck is better in general, in terms of the strategy, and also they understand pretty well metagame in which this deck is playing, and the combination of those two, like the overall experience, allows to create a super mega efficient decks. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what we could remove in this deck. I'm probably not going to change anything. It seems like probably gonna, let's just speed up, because I truly don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of revisiting the cards slowly, trying to think of what we could add, what we could skip. Yeah, decided to go with the regular one. Didn't end up added many choices. A little bit later, I might actually replace Unsummon with something, because Unsummon is a pretty good way to basically slow down the pace of the flyer decks or whatever. Okay, yeah, we're connecting. Speed up this process. We might wait for opponent for quite a while. So yeah, we started with a pretty good hand. I mean, we have a Zephyr Charge, which is pretty cool. We will be able to turn our regular creatures into flyers, although we don't have flyers in our hand. We have an artifact that allows us to turn them into them, which is cool. So apparently now we're gonna play against an artifact deck, maybe, because opponent entered the artifact into play, but who knows. Okay, Spider 2/3 that if it blocks flyers, it gets stronger, I believe. If it just blocks regular creatures, it just stays 2/3. So here I probably made a mistake by attacking. Probably should stay in defense. Now I definitely will decide to attack, because we already have one pretty decent defender. So deciding to basically like utilize the strategy of I don't know how to properly say it in English. Go through the library. I don't like. I'm not familiar with the actual terminology, how it's called in English. In Russian, it's Прокрутка колоды. So it's basically when you like shuffle through the deck or go through the deck pretty quickly. So it involves like discarding, drawing cards. It's called somehow. So good thing to pick up Mind Rot. It will be a pretty cool if opponent will discard a pretty significant cards, and opponent has only 3 of them. So at this point, a couple of removals and pretty cool enchantment that opponent decided not to play for some reason. It's interesting. Jojo Shimo we're playing against. And this is, by the way, the first time that I'm playing a ranked draft, so which is actually pretty cool. It's like, even if I'm not going to go that far in the draft, it will give me the season progression, and thanks to the season progression, it will gives me, at the end of the season, additional boosters, which is pretty cool. So here, since we have a creature that gives us lifelink, I decide to put 4/4 and attack, which again could force opponent into actually killing this creature, which opponent decides to do in combination, which is a good thing for us, hopefully. Like, losing a pretty significant creature, not necessarily, like, we have a second, by the way, Zephyr Charge in hand, which is not a good idea. Okay, this is something that I didn't expect. Opponent returned the spider back, so it was a plan. So here I probably should continue to attack with 4/4 as just a regular creature. No, there's no point of using the touch now. So probably, yeah, probably right now I'm gonna play this one in order to give us additional mana, and just will attack with 4/4, hopefully slowly but surely. Get opponent's life to close to 0. Like, the first couple of matches of draft were, I don't know, I wouldn't say disappointing. Like, the first match gave me a lot of like insecurities when it comes down to the deck building and draft in general, and my expectations dropped. But after a first win, like, I entered a second win with a little bit more understanding what this deck is capable of, and so yeah, so far it's pretty cool. This is, by the way, a mistake, or not? No, it's not a mistake. I wanted for opponent to block 2/2 and potentially kill 5/5 with the dot touch. Okay, this is not good. So in terms of attack, opponent has a lot of things, but because we gained life throughout the game, we're not scarce on life that much. Pretty scarce, but especially considering the fact that opponent has a lot of big creatures. So again, I still believe that we need to like force the attack at this point with at least one big creature. Keep 2/2 for a block and hopefully kill 5/5. But here I probably will decide to kill 4/4 instead of 5/5. Because if opponent will be able to get something. Okay, this is a good one. This one actually could help us to win. Attack creature becomes a color choice. It doesn't matter. So we're pretty close to dying. But if we will get lucky, and we probably will get lucky by properly using Gruesome Scourger. Or Scourger, I don't know how it's probably read. So let's just read what it's doing. No. No, man. Why? Oh, I had actually enough mana. So enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target opponent equals to the cards on your graveyard. So here I probably should stay in defense. I will protect myself here, and next turn attack and kill opponent with 4/4 by making it fly. I believe this is basically the strategy here. I was relatively quick. I probably should think a little bit more. Maybe we could do this in better fashion way, because if opponent like had one card and this one card was a removal, we would lose this game. But because it wasn't removal, we got ranked up. Cool. So the first rank up in the ranked draft. And this is for daily wins. Pretty cool. So yeah, 2 wins with 1 loss. It's a pretty good start. I'm pretty thrilled about this. So yeah, acknowledging this fact. So for me, I'm already getting kind of the best personal value out of this, because again, I thought that I will at least like win 1 match. This was my hope, because again, I'm pretty bad at draft. Because I'm not that well familiar with the meta game. I don't watch videos of the draft. I'm just basically learning on my own. And this is again my personal choice. Because again, for me, like personally, if I will try to watch videos of others playing draft, I will start to make choices not based for what I'm feeling, but based on what others people are doing. And although this is still a learning, but it's kind of basically I'm starting to lose my own identity in this way, like in terms of the Magic at least. Definitely mulligan in this hand. I mean, it's pretty risky to take this hand. Opponent is going to play with 1 less card, which is a good thing, which means that we could mulligan. Oh, this is worse. But at least we have more creatures to play, and I probably will take this one. Again, hopefully we will get the blue one. And probably it's a good idea to discard a blue card. Because again, we're not able to play it. Although this is the only flyer that we have. But again, it's the risk that we have to take here. Let's hope that we're not going to play against flyer decks. Oh, this is perfect. Now opponent has a flash. Crazy. Which means that the whole strategy basically now goes into our turn, not the opponent's turn. So now opponent will be able to play any type of creatures during his or her turn, any type of artifacts. Oh snap. I remember this deck, it's pretty annoying. It's a good start, but now we have troubles with lands. So was opponent apparently, which is a good thing. So here probably it's best choice to attack first, then probably put flyer in play. Instead I'm gonna play leech. Okay, it's fine. Maybe opponent will have a counter spell for it. Here. Since opponent doesn't have that much of removal and we have a lot of cards that kind of... I truly don't know what to take here. Ah, yeah, it's a logical choice because opponent doesn't support the colors of this card. It's... yeah, it works against probably only white and green or whatever. So yeah, now it's pretty bad. Whenever a quick creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to target defending player controls target creature. So now opponent, by attacking slowly, gonna kill our small creatures, which means that putting small creatures not logical anymore. Again, putting this flyer probably will die next turn. The only reason why I played it because I needed to draw a card here. So here, I don't know what to do here. Returner probably enter the battlefield, deal damage to opponent and planeswalker equal to... yeah, decided to discard Returner. I'll see how this game will progress. Maybe we will make different choices here. So again, because we have creatures with lifelink, oh no, counterspell. Okay, this is pretty bad. So it would be actually awesome if opponent didn't have counterspell. It would be like perfect play. We could drain multiple lives, 2 additional lives by gaining 2 additional lives. 3 additional lives from 2 creatures. The opponent would lose 2 additional ones, which would be awesome. So my hope is, because we have a lot of cards in the graveyard, that I will use a Gruesome Scouter, a Scourger, to basically kill opponent like passively. Hopefully, we'll see. This is probably the strategy that I'm building towards. Because again, we have 30 lives. I doubt that opponent will like deprive us from that. We're still gonna have like at least 20. No. Continue to attack. Again, less lives opponent has, the better. Then we're just going to play this Gruesome Scouger, or I don't know how it properly reads. Let's hope I'm not gonna discard it. 3, 4, 5. We have 5 mana. I'm probably going to kill opponent with just one pretty cool and awesome card. So opponent continues to kill us here, because I know that I probably gonna win next turn. I decided to just draw additional card. There's no point of putting a dead touch on already that touched creature, so just decided to do so. So here, like, it all depends. Like, if opponent has a counter spell, we're done. Equal to the number of creatures you control. So yeah, we control 3 creatures, so we will deal 3 damage to the opponent upon entering, and then we'll deal 2 additional damage, 3 additional damage with attacking. But again, opponent could have a blocker, because opponent could cast something on our turn, like any type of creature. So opponent will be able to block at least one of the creatures with defender, but again, not enough to block everyone. So an exact to 0, which is actually pretty cool. So yeah, it was actually an awesome match. I mean, this deck played exactly how I kind of built it to play in my mind at the beginning. Like, when I built it at the beginning, I kind of in my head I had all of those strategies in my head, like how this card could potentially work. Like, okay, we have a lot of small creatures, then like if we're going to draw this awesome orc, then we will put it in play and it basically will be a pretty awesome kind of damage dealer. So again, when I'm building a deck, I might necessarily I'm not necessarily could potentially explain the overall strategy of this deck right from the get-go. Most of the choices I'm doing are intuitive, and once I will play them, some of them will be supported and logically figured it out. I don't know, it sounds super weird, but again, sometimes this is the way that I'm playing Magic. Like, when I'm building decks, I'm not like thinking about what I'm gonna play in turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and etc. Instead, I'm building the deck like on kind of intuitively, and then by playing those cards, I see what works, what's not working, and starting to grab a sense of how this deck works in general, what we could play turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, etc. But in most cases, it kind of seems like a logical choice. Oh, this is the worst hand ever. I don't know why I took it. I mean, we have only one creature. We have enchantment that we're not able to put anywhere. So this is actually a good thing that we got a burglar, because if we didn't get a blood burglar, it would be complete the worst case scenario, because again, taking this hand was probably the stupidest thing ever. And again, I mulliganed to 6, so then I would mulligan to 5. It could get worse, so I decided to actually take whatever we have and hope that we will get a good draw. Okay, Diamond Knight. Maybe this is an artifact deck. So again, the cool thing is that we're already kind of seeing what the metagame cards are. Like for instance, like this axe is a pretty top choice in Magic in here, because again, you could equip it on flyers and attack through the air if opponent doesn't have flyer blockers. Oh yeah, another flyer deck. So again, seems a good choice to attack. We'll be able to gain some life. Opponent is thinking. Okay, it's kind of a mixed deck, I guess. Not necessarily a flyer deck. Has a lot of things here. It could be like a mix of a flyer deck, which means that like opponent probably has a lot of blue flyers. And M20 has a lot of blue flyers. So, why not? So the reason why I'm attacking, because I want to force opponent into blocking into Death Touch. So I kind of know that opponent will probably not gonna block with 2-3 and risking dying. So we're probably playing against the opponent that again has silver rank, which means that probably more experienced than I am in the bronze. So because of this, I kind of knew that opponent will probably just block with Ox, and if not, we could basically kill either Knight or Sage to 3. So it's a pretty weird choice to do this, by the way, to put this on creature with Death Touch. The reason why I did this, because I'm pretty sure that at some point opponent will make this Diamond Knight stronger and stronger and stronger, and we need something to kill this diamond with the Death Touch and make sure that this Death Touch will survive. 1-5 leech. So, because again, so yeah, this is a pretty bad situation at this point. So here I'm probably not gonna play anything, or no, just play this. So again, now it's all about like what opponent is willing to do. If opponent willing to use Diamond Knight, we have a killer for it, like 1-5. Or the combination of 4-4 and 2-2. But again, I'm keeping my eyes on the Diamond Knight as a general kind of threat at this point. Not general, like the main threat, I guess. So 3 is a problem too, but it's a problem only if opponent will draw cards. Again, I'm hoping that opponent will block with 5-5. And because I have a Death Touch, and that way we could kill Diamond Knight, because this is the key threat. Again, opponent could save it. Counter target. Sucks. lost a pretty decent creature, unfortunately. Diamond Knight now became stronger. But again, as long as we have Leech in play, opponent is not going to attack us. So, no matter how Diamond Knight, how big it's gonna get. Okay, lost a couple of somewhat insignificant cards. We don't need lands. Most of the cards in the deck we will be able to play with 5. Probably all of them. Yeah, probably the most expensive mana convert mana cost in our deck, probably 5. So here again, I decided to attack to kind of force opponent into a trade flyers. Opponent decides not to do so. We'll deal excessive damage, which is cool. It's not something that opponent will probably need. So now we're both playing with the top of a library, and it all now depends who's going to draw what. And how good each of the decks are built. So how good opponent deck is, how good my deck is. So it's pretty cool. So whenever you lose life for the first time each turn, this one gets stronger. It's actually a pretty good one. It's never gonna grow closer to the Diamond Knight, but it could if opponent will continue to attack us, or we will continue to attack. So this is basically the reason why I attacked with the Thief, because like although Thief will die, the whole point was here is to make War Chief stronger in order to speed up the process of putting many counters on it. Because the only way the Diamond Knight is going to gain life if opponent will cast probably blue creatures. I believe it's set on blue. And if opponent will constantly attack us, we're gonna make War Chief stronger. So again, now by having this War Chief, it kind of forces opponent not to attack at all. So yeah, game now is kind of slowed down quite a bit, because again we're playing with the top of a library, but the good thing is that we have additional draws in this deck. This is one of the key things about this deck. We have a way to kind of scroll through the library or go through the library. There's no point attacking, although again, I could attack with the Sprite 1-2, force opponent to killing Flyer. If opponent decides not to kill a Flyer, then again, opponent will deal damage to us, War Chief will become stronger. So again, kind of a strategy too. So now we could bring back something from the graveyard, and it seems like a good idea to actually bring Scourger at some point. Again, I could wait for longer, but here I decided to actually do it right away. So we don't need mana in most cases, so let's just use mana first, then sacrifice it. Because again, I doubt that I'm going to draw any creatures at some point. Like when I see a card, I'm kind of thrilled about using it as quick as possible, although it's not necessarily a good idea, because again, we will return the creature back in the hand. We could actually wait for to get more creatures and deal more lethal damage or whatever. Just in general, more damage. But again, you never know. Maybe opponent will draw cards, decides not to play them, we will get a counter spell and not going to be able to bring them back. So as long as I'm able to do so, I'm gonna. It's better. It was actually probably logical to return it right now, because if opponent has a counter spell, we could lose it. And who knows, maybe opponent decides to just draw cards for the sake of bluffing. So, oh, this is interesting. Grade 2, 3/3 golems. That's fine. Yeah, for each blue spell, Diamond Knight Diamond Knight becomes stronger. So it's an interesting situation here. Again, the only reason why I decided to return Thief is to again make War Chief stronger. But again, Diamond Knight is probably going to go faster in. It's like pretty 50-50 game at this point. I mean, opponent can't attack us, we can't attack opponent. It's like a defense game. Let's just speed this up a little bit, because again, this game progresses relatively slow, and from now on the choices are going to be relatively slow, so let's just speed up quite a bit, because I don't have that much time. So yeah, opponent to put an X in play, and now decides to attack with 5-3. We get sacrificing the creature that we don't need. Now we'll put additional creature with that touch, which is pretty cool. Discarded vampire. And here again, attacking seems again illogical, because opponent now has a 2-1. Again, the only reason why I'm attacking is to draw a card and to put a additional counter on War Chief. By the way, why I didn't block... Oh, yeah, I didn't block War Chief, like Golem 5-3 with War Chief, because War Chief was 5-5 at that point. So yeah, so now we actually got a Dread Presence, which is the first card that we draw in the draft. Now we'll be able to utilize it next turn, which is actually pretty cool. Oh snap, this is not a good one. If we're gonna survive this match, we're gonna survive this match by the skin of a thief. Teeth. Hopefully I'm properly used this phrase. Basically barely surviving. So yeah, I decided to skip. Again, we'll make our War Chief stronger. The only problem is that now in power we're tied with Diamond Knight, but unfortunately not enough to kill Diamond Knight. So again, right here I could go multiple choices, but the logical choice is probably to deal either damage in the face or kill the flyer right now in order to attack with more flyers right now. So this is probably the choice that I'm decided to make. So I'm going to attack with flyers in order to deal more damage. Although it would be a logical choice to kill Raptor and deal more damage later, I decided to basically go with a current. Also, I could deal these 2 damage to the Diamond Knight later after attacking with 7-7. But opponent could just basically kill our War Chief with a combination of multiple spells. So again, I had a lot of choices here how to go with this attack, with the previous attack. But I believe I made the right choice. That way, I'm not hasting the game. There's no need to rush here. I'm feeling pretty comfortable at this point. Again, we have 2 death touch blockers, which means that even if opponent decides to attack with the small creatures, with the big creatures, we will be able to block them. The only problem is, like 4/6, Serpent, I believe it has ability that allow opponents to spend mana and not being blocked, which is the plan for the opponent to kill us with, like, in 2 turns. Basically, make Serpent stronger, utilize its ability, activated ability, by making it unblockable, and basically kill us in a couple of turns. So because of this, we need to kind of force attack somehow. So yeah, the only choice for us is probably first play this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh snap, we're gonna kill opponent. But not right away, because we're not going to be able to return. So we need to survive 1 turn in order to deal lethal damage by returning a gruesome basically this orc. So this orc is basically our win condition here. We will return it from the graveyard and deal lethal damage. So because of this, I'm just attacking to deal excessive damage. Extra damage. So again, opponent will probably block 1-2 wait, 2-1 or 1-2, doesn't matter. So which means that we're not gonna spend additional mana for it. No point. First strike. So we will deal 2 damage, which is a good thing for us. Which is more likely for us. Yeah. Now the key thing is to return the proper card. Again, we can return 2 of them. I probably should return something that I could play now. Yeah, probably Thief. Just to create additional blocker. And next turn, we're basically playing Gruesome Scourger, and let's hope that opponent doesn't have a counter spell. Because if opponent has a counter spell, we're done. Nope, opponent doesn't have a counter spell. It's a pretty cool game, by the way. Love it. So far so good, so far so good. So that's it, we're winning next turn, even if opponent, like again, opponent doesn't have enough mana to probably use a Serpent's ability, or opponent had enough mana but decided not to do so, because again, opponent will deal just only 6 damage to us, it's just no point, especially considering the fact that we have lethal now. So snap lethal damage, that was a good one. So, I mean, come on, how awesome was that? Very sick. So at this point, I already exceeded my expectations from the draft. I thought that I will just win 1 game, then I won 2 games, then I won 3 games, now we won 4 games, and I'm like, what? With 1 loss? You gotta be kidding me. So, and like, if this will continue, I actually have a chance to get up to 7 wins, and for me this is like the best value possible. We spent 500 gold on the draft, 5,000 gold on the draft, and we getting already with 4 wins pretty close to what we need. So yeah, this is the second video because I basically like recorded them in different times. I couldn't play draft like in one go. I decided to take a break at some point. So yeah, basically continuing. Yeah, so we already will get like 450 gold, 450 gems out of it, and potential of 2 packs, 1 pack and 1 additional one potentially, which is actually awesome. So yeah. So let's continue to play. So again, now it all depends what we're going to face. So I understand how to fight against flyer decks with this deck. It's pretty logical if we're going to play it against similar decks. So one of the reasons why we survived for such a longer period of time, because again, we have a pretty good ground defense with the Death Touch creatures, which means that opponent has a ground creatures to attack through the ground or on the ground. On ground attackers, we have protection against them in Death Touch creatures. We also have a pretty decent protection against flyers with our blue flyers that we could potentially make that turn into Death Touchers. So again, every time that I'm going to face like against a flyer deck, I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty close to winning. Of course, it all depends what we're going to draw. But if I'm going to find something unfamiliar, for instance, I don't know how this deck is going to show itself against Elementals. Like, probably against Elementals I'm not going to win if we will face Elementals, because they just too much. They will have too much of a draw, and although they don't have that many flyers, they still create a lot of problems with their triggered abilities and in general with their inner synergies. So here I'm decided to basically set up the ground defense in case. Again, green or white. Opponent has white, so which means that I probably will discard something. Probably leech. We have 2 leeches. We don't need 2 leeches. Or I will discard a grasp. by hoping that opponent is not going to put anything white. We'll see. I actually don't know. Probably Leech. Discarding Leech seems like a good idea. We need something big for a later game, so keeping War Chief intact. No, decided to get rid of the removal and stay to the creatures. Because again, this removal might not work. If opponent doesn't have any like white creatures. Yeah, I decided to stay in defense for now. Because again, I need to protect myself against the skeleton. Opponent could put more auras on it. Oh snap, this is the worst case scenario here. This is probably going to be a super not cool thing. We discarded the cards that sucks. Okay, whatever. Cool. So again, it will allow us to now attack with flyers, which is pointless. So now probably I'm constantly forgetting that the skeleton gets 4/4 instead of 1/4 upon combat. This is one of the auras that does that. Okay. So it's playable card, I guess, since at least someone is playing it. Like this ogre that we discarded actually kind of puts a lot of counters on itself, so it's a pretty decent protection. So again, we could wait to play like Gruesome Scourger later in game, but why not play it now? Again, additional creature to attack with, dealing 4 damage upon entering the battlefield. Good thing too. Opponent probably has removal or not. There's no point of attacking here. So again, another relatively slow game. We could speed it up a little bit. Let's just speed up a little bit because again, so far it's pretty slow. Nothing like decent will happen for quite some time, I guess, here. So enters the battlefield, destroy target creature. If what? Okay. Uncool. So now again, we're going to turn this into flyer attack, and hopefully opponent will decide to kill it. We're going to use... It's pretty risky to attack with the sprite though, because again, opponent could basically kill with skeleton sprite and with 3/3 Gruesome Scourger, but there is a good chance that opponent wants to preserve one of these creatures to attack and will make this decision, and this is gonna be a decision that will kill opponent, because now we have a death touch and we will be able to kill both of them, which is actually pretty cool. The cool thing about death touch though, that it automatically distributes the damage between 2 creatures and not to kill them, because so again, we need more damage here in order to do this, because again, we need to deal 1 damage to one creature and 1 damage to another creature in order to kill them. That touch works, and now opponent basically ends up with nothing, and we could attack pretty simply, like opponent starting from next turn. The only problem here is of course the fact that we don't have any additional draws and opponent has a lot of cards in hand, so in the end opponent has card advantage. So again, we could return something from the graveyard, so here probably could be a good choice of course to return War Chief. For this, we have to sacrifice a creature. There's no point... No, there is a point to actually add additional mana for it. Yes, probably black. Because we will return something from the graveyard too. This something could be played. So yeah, we probably will return a flyer and Scourger. War Chief and flyer. Because we need flyers to attack on the air, because if opponent is not going to draw any flyers, here probably will attack, at least with the Gruesome Scourger. Good. It's weird that opponent decided not to block with the skeleton though, because opponent might return it back and replay it next turn, but whatever. So now in terms of like the attacking strategy Sorry about that. We actually have quite a bit of advantage. We have a charge. As if you're charged, it allows us to turn our creatures into flyers. That means that if opponent doesn't have flyers, next turn could be potentially lethal. We could turn 4/4 into flyer, 3/3 into flyer, make 1/2 stronger if we have enough mana, and not. Oh no, this is actually fine. I mean, only after this creature will die, it will enter under the opponent's control on the battlefield. This was, by the way, a mistake. I probably should think about lethal damage at this point. So now I'm deciding to attack with all of them, except 1/3. So again, opponent not gonna be able to kill 4/4. I'm hoping that opponent will sacrifice creatures to kill, yes, through 3. The less creatures opponent has, the better. So again, I probably wouldn't deal lethal damage this turn, because again, for that we need 6 mana, we have only 5. So because of this, I decided to put a 4/4 in play and hope for the lethal damage next turn, which is risky, but what the heck. Okay, this is not cool. We still could potentially deal lethal damage though. We will deal lethal damage. Yep, we got exactly what we needed, 6 mana, which means that we have more than enough for lethal. We need 6 to turn all of our 3 creatures into flyers. This is exactly what we're gonna do. We have enough mana to do this if we will put this one. So again, if next turn we would get an island or swamp. Oh snap, no snap, we actually need an island for it. Yeah, because, yep, we need land. Well, yeah, if we would get an island instead of a vampire 3/3, we would win in a previous match. Oh, in the previous turn. Whew, snap, and it was more than enough to kill opponent, like strict lethal. Cool. So yeah, awesome. Awesome brosome. So yeah, now we got 5 wins, but with only 1 loss. How cool is that? I mean, it's pretty cool. So now I'm like super overconfident. I think of myself, okay, I built a super indestructible deck. It's awesome. It's super cool. Let's just continue. 5, like again, we will get 650 gold, which is already 100 more than you could potentially spend to actually as an entry fee, because entry fee, I guess 550 and in gems, and pretty decent hand. Actually, this is actually a pretty decent hand. We have a decent amount of flyers. We have an early flyer, we have a early removal, if we will end up playing against a specific colored cards. Let's speed up. Opponent is thinking. So let's just speed up an early process of the game. I don't have that much time. I'm recording, so we need to. Oh no, this is probably elementals. So, which means that I don't know how to play against them, which means that there's a potential for us losing. Again, we could allow ourselves to lose 1 match, because till 7 wins in a draft we need to, like, basically 2-2. We need 2 matches to win, and with 2 matches to lose. So 1 acceptable loss we could allow. It would be awesome to get up to 7 wins. But again, 5 wins is gonna be more than enough, truly. I mean, at this point I'm already getting out of the event with more than I put into it. I put into it 5,000 gold, and even if I will lose both of the matches, I will end up getting 600, basically 650 gold, 650 gems, which will be enough to buy a Master Pass. I believe I will actually buy a Master Pass during this recording, if I remember properly. Yeah, I will definitely do that, because we already have enough. So I'm just thinking, let's just speed up. So here we have a pretty confusing situation. I mean, Chandra Spitfire kind of it's definitely not going to work in its regular cavalcade sense, but it's still a good flyer defender because our flyer is not going to be able to penetrate it, so that means that we don't have the ability to attack at this point. Although I probably should attack with all of them here in order to force opponent into blocking, because I truly don't know like what this deck is all about at this point. I mean, it might be elemental deck, it might not be elemental deck, so I truly don't know. So it seems like it's an elemental deck, but again, I don't know how to play against that in here, like specifically when it comes down to the just M20 meta game. Opponent has enough mana because of the cat, because cat allows to produce 2 additional mountains, but you can only use this mountain to play elemental spells or Chandra spells, I believe, or something like this, or instant spells. I don't remember. We need to read this cat, which I can't do because this is a recording. So yeah. By the way, I'm quite sick at this point. I have a flu, so don't feel that well. Sorry for my squeaky voice. And this is a problem. This is a big problem. Like, I had a question, like, how opponent actually put Rising Reef when opponent doesn't have green mana. I'm like, what? How? Maybe this is a Prismite 2-1 because it allows to produce mana of any color, but again, it's untapped. So I don't know how opponent produced mana to play Rising Reef. Maybe Chandra's Cat allows to add any mana of any color because of no. So at this point I'm pretty confused. I don't know, like, I understand that like there is a possibility that I'm playing against the elemental deck and I don't like it. I mean, I don't know how to approach it. Should I attack or should I stay in defense? Because again, the problem with this, I mean, we have a pretty decent ground defense, by the way. We have like 3 death touch creatures. This is like awesome ground defense. But the problem is if opponent has this elemental that basically gives all elementals trample, we're basically done. And even our death touch creatures are not going to save us. So let's just speed up the game. For some reason opponent is thinking for a long time. So at this point it's just a game like who's going to decide to attack first. At this point I don't know should I attack first or not. I'm kind of mixed. Because Chandra Spitfire kind of ruins the attack for me. I don't believe that it's a good idea to attack with with my death touch blockers, because the opponent has enough cards in hand to rebuild. So by attacking it's just basically, so we're definitely in a pretty big disadvantage, and it's pretty good possibility that I'm going to lose this game, because looking at things, oh snap, now opponent will enjoy additional card every time that creature enters the battlefield. Perfect. Snappish. Not cool, not cool, not cool, not cool, not cool. So yeah, I will continue to produce flyers, but so freaking what? It doesn't matter. I mean, yes, it's a good thing that we could attack with those flyers, potentially. Again, I'm attacking here in order to draw a card, because whatever, we need to draw a card. Because the opponent has a pretty decent card advantage in terms of everything, strategy, overall strategy. We could actually take this, like, I probably made a mistake by maintaining this, by playing this land. I probably should discard this land instead of playing it. There was no reason to play it. Okay, this is not gonna help us. We don't have big creatures to make them stronger, like the flyers. This is probably the worst case scenario. I don't know why I'm doing this. Apparently I will decide to attack now. But just death touch creatures. So yeah, you see, I'm kind of probably utilizing the same strategy as I utilized before. like in the previous games. So I missed that. And of course, this is by the way a good thing that we drew a card and discarded the same card because we don't need any lands at this point. So yeah, I decided to speed up this match because it's pretty slow. Speeding it up makes it kind of a normal speed. So why not? Yeah, so at this point, I don't know. Continuing to turn creatures into flyers, it just seems like not a good idea, because again, I might regret this. I don't know why I did this though. Because opponent will kill it by tapping this wand. This probably was a misplay. It was much more logical to put this one on leech. Or on just a bigger creature. Or maybe I did it intentionally to force opponent into doing this, I don't know. At this point I'm, like, again, I'm pretty confused. I remember this match, I was pretty confused during this match. And again, when you're confused, you're starting to make weird choices, mistakes, you don't know how to play, you don't know how to adapt to this deck. You don't know what's coming, you kind of anticipate what's coming, but you're not sure where exactly it's gonna come. So it basically kind of makes things super weird, and you're truly not sure what to do, where to do it, and it's just kind of confusing. I don't know. So at this point I'm definitely confused in this match. Yeah, I decided to take a card from the graveyard, so let's just, like, again, choosing the creature to sacrifice. This is probably the worst choice ever. Probably should sacrifice 2/2, that gives us mana. And returning basically the same creatures. So yeah, probably we'll return the touch. So at this point, I'm kind of burned out, I guess. When you're playing Magic for quite a while, again, you will burn out, and you will start to make weird choices. So here I decided not to put a land card. We'll continue to attack with Death Touch. Now opponent has 2 Chandra Spitfires, which is completely a worst case scenario for us. And opponent has a Flyer Destroyer. Snap, this is not good. So yeah. Let's speed up. Oh. Wait a minute. It's not a speed up, it's a pause. So yeah. Let's just speed up the video because I doubt that this game is going to go somewhere at all. I mean, opponent just waits for the proper card, and the funny thing is, no matter what we're gonna get, I don't believe we will be able to survive this. I mean, small creatures not going to do us justice, because again, they're just not going to be able to penetrate defense. I mean, I could move, like, I could have this strategy of turning all of my creatures into flyers and attacking with all of them at some point. But again, opponent has a small creature destroyer with this wand, with this super annoying wand. So all small creatures are just gonna die at some point, turn by turn. So small creatures are basically completely inefficient in here. Like, we're not going to be able to do anything about this. That means that we're not able to turn our 1/2 flyers into, like, make them stronger, because opponent just continues to kill, like, small creatures. So again, it's all about slowly but surely. Yeah, at this point I actually like thinking about giving up this match. Let's just speed it up more, because I'm pretty sure that I'm just gonna lose this one no matter what. Like, it's all about losing 1 creature per turn, 1 creature per turn, 2 creatures per turn, and in the end ending up with basically 0 life. That's it. Because no matter what I'm going to get at this point, opponent has too big of an advantage after putting Chandra in play. Now all elementals could become stronger. Even if I will get additional draws, it's not going to change anything. So basically done here. So I'm just, again, like, attacked for no reason, because I know that I'm dying. So next turn I'm not going to probably even block this one. Just allow opponent to kill ours, and that's it. I will make a creature flying. Probably will prevent damage during this turn. Kill one of the flyers at least, and it's still enough to kill us. So as you see, so again, this match was pretty disappointing. I mean, like, I allowed opponents to get to this stage. I probably should be more aggressive right from the get-go, but again, it doesn't seem like my aggression would pay out. I would lose creatures just much earlier than opponent, that's it. An opponent would basically will rebuild himself much quicker. So there's two ways how this match could go. Like, one way is the way that it went, and I lost just by staying in defense and losing all my creatures through defense, or losing my creatures through attack. And the idea of losing my creatures through attack would just basically would be earlier, and I will end up losing. I would end up losing anyway, I believe. So either way, it was a pretty interesting match, but again, I wasn't prepared to fight against this type of slow-paced deck that basically was a pretty good mid-range, I guess, we played against. So playing aggro against mid-range is usually not a good matchup. So yeah, deciding to take hand or not here. Opponent decides to mulligan, who decided to keep it. So again, pretty decent hand. I mean, one of the reasons why I took it because I had Mind Rot. I also have, again, Dark Moon, which again allows us to attack on early stages and also set up a defense. Say hello to the opponent. So as I remember properly, this is probably a strict artifact deck that we encountered similar strategies for this deck before, but we didn't actually play it against just strictly an artifact deck. So again, it already means that we're not gonna be able to attack, although I probably will try to. No, decided to stay. So now opponent is just going to search for these particular cards, and these particular cards are pretty bad ones. So again, we already almost lost the game with this heart-pierced bow, or even lost with it. So I already starting right from the beginning of this match understand that I probably don't have a chance to win this, because again, I don't have anything to penetrate 3/3 in at least 2 or 3 turns, 3 or 4 I would say. Although I could continue to attack. So again, just looking at the deck and trying to understand what this deck is all about. Because again, I'm not like that familiar with the M20. M20, by the way, is the biggest set from current standard. It has a lot of cards, and you're not going to be able to remember all of them. So because of this, it's just like... And after losing the previous match, I probably should take a break, not just dive into another one. It's usually not a good idea after a pretty significant loss that drops your morale, get back and play another one, because you're gonna play this next match with the morale down, and with the dropped morale, it's just not gonna give you any chances to win. No matter snap. No matter how lucky you get. Sorry about that. I need to drink some water. So yeah, match is progressing. Whatever. Let it progress. Like, I already understand that opponent now has 2 pierced bows, which means that now opponent able to put all those bows on one creature, and during one attack kill one creature to 2, which is exactly what opponent will do. So now each turn we're gonna lose on defense 2 creatures by not defending ourselves. So this is actually a pretty awesome strategy. I mean, I don't know how often this deck that opponent is playing created, or it was just like one-time thing that opponent basically got lucky with cards or whatever. But it's actually a pretty awesome one. I played against this deck and I was kind of surprised how good these cards are playing together. I mean, this 1/3 allows to search for this pierced bow, then you will basically get it, you get all copies possible, and now you will basically find some creature to attack with a pretty solid defense and pretty maybe insignificant attack, which is going to be more than enough, and just basically attack, remove all creatures in opponent's defense, or weaken them in order to force not to block. So again, it's just like one simple card, and you can build like the whole strategy of the deck around this simple card. Add a lot of supporting cards and you will end up with a pretty decent deck. So again, I'm definitely going to lose this match. Like, I don't have any doubt in that at this point. Like, I know the result already, but again, even though I remember I played this match, I knew that I will lose it. Because again, understanding what this mechanic will do, like the combination of this pierced bows and opponent continuing to put cards to not allow us to attack, not allow us to block. So again, if opponent again will put some type of a tapper in here, we're not going to be able to kill any creature with the pierced bow attached to them. And even if we'll do, opponent will reattach them to a new creature, so it's basically never-ending spiral or cycle, as long as opponent has creatures to attack with. So at this point, yeah, opponent decides to basically use this, which is again a perfect situation. We will kill this creature. The less creatures opponent has, the better for us. Less creatures to attack with, and less creatures that opponent could put this bow on, because again, this bow only works on attacking creatures, so Defender 33 is not working in this case. So we still kind of have a choice because we have cards in hand, but it all depends what opponent will draw though. Like, I truly don't know what opponent will draw next turn. And opponent still has 3 cards that could basically make this strategy even crazier. So at this point the problem is we only able to put 1 creature per turn in play, and sorry about that. This basically creates a lot of problems. So one of the problems is by doing so, we're basically gonna lose this 1 creature that we put in play turn before. So our creature is not going to be able to survive for longer. The good strategy with this one, like how to fight against this deck, is to put as many creatures as possible. Of course, everyone has a decent amount of removal against big ones, and small ones will die with this artifact, with the pierced bows. Pretty crazy. I mean, opponent has everything that he or she needs to process. Or another problem that opponent has enough mana to utilize. Another creature destroyer. Snap. So yeah, I guess we're done. So now, knowing what opponent has in hand, let's just speed up this game in 2, like super quick, because again, I'm 100% sure that I will win, that I will lose now, no matter what I will do, because again, I have a lot of small creatures in my hand. Opponent has more than enough things to kill all my small creatures each turn, so it's just basically, it's just pointless. I'm just putting creatures in play and that's it, for the sake of putting them in play, because opponent could kill them right away. That's the problem, and it's just a matter of time, and that's it. Yeah, I decided to help by turning one of his creatures flying, put an additional hour on it, again make it fly, and this is just basically a weird thing, that's it. So yeah, this is kind of a weird situation here. Yep. So yeah, now we're down to the Master Pass. So cool, so now we're gonna claim our rewards. So again, unfortunately, like, I got pretty close to 7 wins, but again, for the first draft that I played in an actual, like, on my actual account, not on my, like, sponsored account, but actual account, this is actually a pretty good result. 2 boosters, more than enough things to buy Master Pass, so let's just open packs. Let's see what we're gonna get from the Master Pass, which is actually pretty cool. and we'll end this session. So in general, this session took me for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. By speeding this up, it will end up probably 1 hour and 45 minutes or something like this, which is actually better, because again, oh, this is a good one. Cool. Like this card. This is potential commander. I'm definitely thrilled to will be thrilled to play commander. So yeah, now it's time to buy Master Pass. So this is my second time of buying Master Pass. First Master Pass was bought for real money. Second Master Pass is basically bought with the remaining gems from the first purchase and from the first Master Pass, and additional gems that was earned from the draft. So, and this is the way that I'm going to, from now on, try to buy. So you basically can pay only once, like donate into the game only once to buy first Master Pass, and if you will spend your gems wisely, and if you will find to convert those gems into, if you will be able to find a way to convert your in-game gold on a free-to-play basis to convert it into gems, you can actually buy each Master Pass each month without on a free-to-play basis, which is actually pretty awesome. This is the whole idea how I'm going to do this. So occasionally these pre-recorded specials that I'm doing now will be occasionally will show this kind of gradual thing. So I'm going to go through the drafts. I'm going to try to get as much conversion value as possible from gold to gems, and get to the 3,400 gems and get everything we need. So good. At this point, of course, we're not like super far in levels. We're only 24th level, but we're still getting a lot of value already, which is pretty cool. So we got a lot of pretty cool cards. So another copy of this one, which is pretty cool. Love it. Of course, cosmetics, just a kind of cosmetic only visuals for cards. Of course, these type of rewards on a master tree. So let's speed up. I don't know what I'm going to do at this point, so let's just speed up. So yeah, now I'm going to go through the Master Pass tree and actually kind of utilize those things to buy some stuff, just to earn more cosmetics with each color. I'm 100% sure that I will get up to level 100, and we will basically utilize all of those. So at this point, we don't need to like carefully choose what route we need to take. We will be able to take all of them at some point throughout the season. So yeah, we're done with that one. Just go and open boosters. Yep, giant would be awesome. So yeah, let's just now open boosters, see what we're gonna get from boosters, and probably we'll wrap up session on that one. So in general, while I'm opening boosters, I'm just gonna finish. So again, this strategy I'm going to utilize quite a while. Like this is the reason why I'm collecting gold. I'm collecting gold without spending it on boosters in order to buy a pass into, basically use it as an entry fee for a ranked draft. Ranked draft is the only way to reconvert your in-game value into the out-of-the-game value. Like gems, which you can acquire mostly only with money, occasionally through some events, but again mostly through real money. And again, since I'm a free-to-play player, like a casual free-to-play player, I don't want to spend money into the game. Again, I spent it once just to buy a starter pack and one master pass, and that's it. And the rest is just could be supported on a free-to-play basis, which is the whole idea, going through it with a free-to-play, but on a free-to-play basis. So yeah, we got another one. It's just pretty interesting. So like it's probably a third copy already, or a second. I don't remember exactly. At this point, I believe I already have 3 or 2. No, probably 3. Is this his end? I truly don't remember. Yeah, so I guess this is basically it. I don't believe that we will see anything else here. So again, this is the way to go with the draft. So again, the whole idea is to basically spend this 500 gold in order to get in gems value. Again, you're not going to be able to utilize it on a like multiple basis. You're probably going to lose some, yes, like value. It all depends how good you will become in a draft deck building. But again, me not having like any experience in almost any experience in the draft, I was able to get up to 5 wins with my general understanding of Magic, and it was actually quite fun and pretty cool. So again, with draft, basically like creates this pretty awesome kind of possibility for you to get this to play Magic on a free-to-play basis and actually earn Master Pass, because Master Pass is a freaking sick thing to have. I mean, with Master Pass you get so much value that it's just basically mega super crazy. Yeah, so I guess this is it. So let's just see if this is actually end. So let's just, yeah, this is actually end. Nothing else there. Yeah, the video itself basically stops. So yeah, this is basically it for today. For today's session. Again, it was a pretty cool experience. I definitely will play draft more, and I will produce them in the same way that I produced this episode. So I will record draft by just playing it without talking about it, and then I will rewatch it and comment on it. Because again, this is the only way that I will be able to play draft focused without distractions and etc., which is actually a good way to play. Because again, usually when I'm streaming, I'm making more mistakes that I'm not like when I'm not streaming, of course. Because again, there's an additional distractions during the stream. Even though if you have no chatters or whatever, it's still a distraction because you have to support conversation. Like instead of you just sitting there and silently and thinking about stuff, you have to entertain somehow. So because of this, you will constantly talk, you will constantly think, describe something, and it takes a lot of time and energy and from the in-game focus. This is the reason why when you like looking at the Mythic Championship at this point, most of the people that are playing Magic are silently sitting and thinking a lot. So they're constantly they're focused on the game and on its strategy. They basically kind of tune out of surroundings. They don't hear anything, they don't see anything except the game. They're just basically fully immersed, and this is the only way to play Magic accurately without mistakes. And even though even that way you still have a pretty good chance to make a mistake, but still you will make less mistakes. You will see the game much more deeper by fully immersing yourself into the game. So this is the reason why I'm going to play draft this way, because again, this is the way for me to kind of focus and play a little bit better. So yeah, so again, the next draft is going to be a Throne of Eldraine draft. Hopefully I will be able to play it before it will end. So the next event is going to be a Throne of Eldraine draft. I don't know how many drafts we will go through, probably multiple drafts, not just one. If I'm going to record unsuccessful drafts, I will get either all of them in one video or just choose one successful one and not going to comment and record on the other one. We'll see basically. So yeah, so again, on this note, we're probably gonna end this session. Again, thank you for watching, thank you for being here, have a nice day or night, and see you in the next Prerecorded YouTube special, which is going to be episode 12. This was 11th episode. Again, I will upload it right today. It's going to be already available today on Sunday. So I guess this is it. Thank you for watching, and kind of bye. This draft was pretty awesome. I liked it a lot.